Dudes and dudettes, how are you guys? This is Jazzy and welcome back to What's the Damage, and today's topic is something that I have been wanting to do for a very long time, although I think I say that for every single video that I record, huh? Every video has been on my spreadsheet for so many months and I never get around to them, but when I do, it's like, yeah, I've been wanting to do this for a long time, huh? However, today's topic, despite being something that really fascinates me and interests me, which is space and astronomy and that kind of thing, celestial bodies, I never expected this video to be in the What's the Damage playlist, but you guys are going to understand why, because even though I'm going to be giving you actual concrete scientific information about a specific topic, that I enjoy a lot, it is still very controversial, it's going to be a little complicated, and I'm really interested to hear your opinions about this, I'm going to be talking about the Apollo 11 moon landing, okay, in case you guys don't know what happened back on July 20th, 1969, where two American astronauts, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, set foot on the moon. They were the first and the second people to do so, respectively, Neil first, on July 21st, actually, at around 2:56, in the afternoon, I believe, or was it in the morning? Let me check my cheat sheet here. I didn't specify that. Okay, it just says 2:56, so I don't know, but whatever. 19 minutes later, Buzz joined him. He was the second person to set foot on the moon, It was just a groundbreaking moment in human history where we finally left Earth and also set foot on another planet. Actually, the moon isn't a planet, right? You guys know what I mean. We set foot on something that was not just planet Earth, It was really cool, and there were so many different, so many achievements that were found because of this, It was probably one of the most important moments in human history, and they were in orbit, they landed the lunar module Eagle, and a few more tidbits of info here, they spent 21 hours 36 minutes on the lunar surface at a site that they had named the Tranquility Base, before they eventually lifted off to the shuttle in Columbia. All right, the entire mission actually lasted, and this is freaking crazy, 8 days, 3 hours, 18 minutes, and 35 seconds. That not the time that they were on the moon, but the entire mission from Earth to the moon, counting the time that they spent on the surface. And it was really cool. I think it was really awesome, and it was one of those moments that it just went down in history. Everything went off without a hitch, no problems at all, and finally humankind set foot on the moon. Or so we have been led to believe. Because ever since it happened, and still to this day, there are people who swear that the moon landing didn't even happen. That it was all just a huge elaborate hoax because the United States wanted to beat the Russians, in the space race. Because Russia had already sent a person to into space, They didn't land anywhere, but they did send a person, hurtling through space who came back later, So they were the first nation to send a human being into outer space, So the Americans wanted to outdo them, and they wanted to make the first human land on the moon, which they did. But that's just it, isn't it? Like, it really depends on what you believe, because when it comes to the 1969 moon landing, either you believe that it happened or you don't. There's usually no midterm, you can't meet in the middle with this kind of thing. It's like either you believe it or you don't, Wait, I believe it, but it could not have happened, or I don't believe it, but it could have happened. That's really rare. It's almost like impossible. Either you are a firm believer and or you just don't really sympathize with it, right? But it was a very, very, very officialized thing, It looked very realistic, I'll give it that, And a lot of other things happened, and the one of the most famous quotes in human history was when Neil landed, and he said, "It's one small step for man and one giant leap for mankind." The audio of which you can still hear, it's available for you to hear online. It sends just shudders. It gives me shivers, all over the place, And it was really cool, and it proved victorious, in the space race to demonstrate space flight superiority, And actually, in 1961, the then President John F. Kennedy, who was later unfortunately assassinated, he said, "Before this decade is out, of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to Earth," was the goal, So, no, sorry, let me rephrase that. He had a goal of landing a man on the moon and returning him back to Earth before the decade was over, and that's what they did. But now, before I actually get into the crust of the topic here, I'm going to show you guys, I don't even know what the hell I'm going to show, man. Maybe some photos from the first landing, or maybe a video or something. I don't know. I'm just going to put something here to make the transition here to the next part of the video. Okay, so check this out, guys. I'm gonna read some things directly from the source here on my tablet because it's a lot of information to memorize, you know. Sometimes I try to, but in this case, I just want to give you guys the most precise information possible, okay? So there have been many conspiracy theories involving the moon landing. You know, a lot of people claim that it might have been a hoax, you know, even though their evidence always sucks, in my opinion, you know. By the way, in case it's not obvious, I believe that they did land on the moon. I just want to point that out, you know. I am a firm believer that the United States actually did land there, you know. But anyway, so the most notable claim is that the six crewed landings, you know, between 1969 and 72 were actually all fake, and that the 12 astronauts didn't actually walk on the moon. And a lot of people have made claims ever since the mid-70s that NASA and others misled the public, you know, knowingly, into believing that they happened by manufacturing, tampering with, or destroying evidence that included photos, telemetry tapes, radio and TV transmissions, and also forging moon rock samples, you know. A lot of people say that they are say that it was filmed in like a movie studio, you know. Some people actually theorize that Stanley Kubrick, who was one of the best directors in the world at the time, you know, if not the best, he actually had a hand in orchestrating that, you know. They tried to put something together, you know, in an actual studio instead of the real surface, you know. People think that it was just like a movie scene or something, you know. Really freaking annoying. Even though a lot of third-party evidence for the landings do exist, you know, and detailed rebuttals to the hoax, you know, despite all of that, people still believe that, you know, it is a hoax. And since the late 2000s, high-definition photos taken by the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter of the Apollo landing sites have captured the lunar module descent stages and the tracks left by the astronauts on the surface of the moon. And in 2012, you know, images were released showing 5 of the 6 missions American flags erected on the moon still standing on the moon, okay? The exception is the one actually by Apollo 11, you know, in 69, because it laid down on the surface because it was blown over by the lunar module ascent propulsion system. So, and it's never going to be erected unless somebody else goes there and does it, because there's no oxygen on the moon. There's no wind, you know. No wind is going to blow it over, you know, blow it back. No wind can blow it back up or whatever. You guys know what I mean, you know. Everything that's on the moon is going to stay there forever because there's just no gravity. There's no wind to blow the dust away, you know. So the footprints will always be there. The flags will always be there. Anything they left behind will still be there. And here we go. Conspiracy theorists have managed to sustain public interest in their theories for more than 40 years, and I don't even know how, because there's so much evidence that they actually did go to the moon, but okay. And the opinion polls taken in various locations have shown that between 6 and 20% of Americans, 25% of Britons, and 28% of Russians surveyed believe that the landings were actually faked. A bunch of dumbass people. And even as late as 2001, the Fox television network documentary claimed that NASA faked the first landing to win the space race. Now, here's the thing, guys. This is all really convoluted and controversial because, I mean, it's like the Loch Ness Monster and Bigfoot, you know? People have been talking about these things for decades, you know? There has never been a single piece of concrete evidence to suggest that the Loch Ness Monster actually exists, you know? Not even Bigfoot as far as I know, but people still want to believe that they are out there, you know, because we want to believe that there are crazy things that we don't understand in the world, you know. It makes sense. But in this case, it is dumb as hell, because I understand you back in like the 70s or 80s or even into the 90s still being skeptical, you know. But today, there has been so much evidence to suggest that the moon landing actually did happen, and yet people still refuse to accept it, you know. This is the famous case of when you have a strong opinion, you will defend it until the day you die, even if it makes you clearly look like a dumbass, which is what happens in this case here. I'm sorry. Let me see if I can insert something else related to this topic here in the video before I transition to the next part.
16th of July 1969, and 3 men blast off for a journey that would make history. Within days, 2 of the 3 astronauts aboard Apollo 11 would become the first humans to walk on the surface of the moon.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Look, guys, we have to observe a few specific details here, okay? When it comes to astronomy, technology is something that we can barely comprehend, okay? Because when it comes to leaving the Earth, you know, blasting off on a spaceship to go to another planet or something, things are always going to be more advanced than we think, you know? Like back in 1969, which I admit is a very long time ago, a lot of things were primitive back then, you know? I understand that trying to swallow a spacecraft, leaving Earth and going to another celestial surface and landing there successfully and then later coming back, you know, I understand it's hard to believe, you know, but when it comes to NASA, you really shouldn't doubt them, you know, because like the Russians were able to pilot a spacecraft, you know, outside of the Earth, you know, orbit around it and then land. So if they can do that, why can't the Americans do the same thing but land somewhere and then come back, you know? I mean, it's when it comes to astronomy technology, like the leaps and bounds aren't really that far from each other, you know? Because, for example, here on Earth, the difference between a car that drives on the road and a car that flies above the road is very, very, you know, it's huge, guys, you know? It's a massive leap in technology. But when it comes to spacecraft, you know, that involves going into space and whatnot, like a spacecraft that can just orbit and another one that can orbit and land, it's not too far, you know? It's actually very close to each other, you know? So, like, it's really hard. I know that it's easy for you to point a finger and say that this is fake, but if you don't know what you're talking about, then you really shouldn't say anything at all, you know? Because I'm not exactly a professional when it comes to astronomy and NASA technology, but I do know that they are very, very far ahead than what we have here on Earth, you know? What I'm saying on Earth is that regular technology, cars and motorcycles, vehicles, you know, aircraft, you know, NASA is always at least 5 steps above, you know? They always know what they're doing. So, and like normally you could just doubt the fact that back in the mid and late 60s it might not have been possible, but they did have a lot of money to burn and invest, and they were pretty ahead. And guys, there is, again, I cannot stress this enough, there is evidence that it happened. For the love of crap, man, there's evidence everywhere that it happened. So why would you still try to hold on to the belief that it didn't? Like, it doesn't make sense, you know? There is so much evidence to suggest that it actually did happen, you know? We see on the lunar surface there, like the astronauts, I think they even signed their names there, or they left a plaque and their footprints, the flag is there, you know, the date that they went there, and yet you guys still continue to believe that it didn't happen, you know? You guys are just dumb, okay? Because it wouldn't make sense for them to fake this, to telegraph it to the world, and there still somehow be evidence on the damn moon itself that they went there, you know? So, yeah, to me, it's a no-brainer. They went to the moon, okay? It honestly is a no-brainer at all, you know? Even though the title of this video is if it was a hoax, but guys, it's clickbait, okay? I use that title to attract people from both sides of the spectrum here, but obviously, I believe that it happened, you know? And if you don't, I'm sorry, but you're a moron, okay? You're just really, really dumb, okay? Go, look it up a little bit, you know? There are huge articles online that you guys can read on Wikipedia, for example, you know? It's actually funny because one time I was arguing with this guy, you know, a long time ago, who said that, who is a firm believer that the moon landing was a hoax, and I kept sending him a bunch of different links from different websites, you know, giving evidence that it did happen, and every single link that I sent him, he rebutted. He said, no, because this is this and this and that, and Wikipedia is this, National Geographic is that, NASA.com is this. Like, he would refuse everything that I sent him. So, I mean, look, it's you know, I don't really have the patience for this level of stupidity, you know? It's like, no matter what you send to the person, no matter what you say and do to try to convince them, they are going to hold on to their opinion until the day they die, which is annoying as hell. So, I gave up, you know? But look, whether or not you believe that it was a hoax or not, let me know in the comments below. I am legitimately curious. But if you think that the moon landing didn't happen, if you think it really was a hoax, you better have some damn strong evidence to suggest otherwise, guys, you know? Because one of the things that these people most like to point out is that how the flag is bent in a way that suggested that there is wind on the moon, you know, because it was blowing in the wind. And if you guys looked into it, if you actually did research, you know, you will know that the flag wasn't really completely straight to begin with, you know. It was a little folded. What's the word? It was it was, what is the word? The opposite of a straight shirt. It wasn't ironed. It was holy hell, the word escaped me. Okay, it was a little bent and out of shape for the simple reason because it was like a, how can I say it? It was a flag that was like on a little podium of sorts, like a little pole, you know, and then it kind of retracted, so they untracted it, you know, and put it down like that, and that's why it looked a little dented, or what is the damn word, man? This is gonna kill me later in post. Holy crap. Okay, whatever. It was a little smooshed, okay? It wasn't exactly flat, you know? So when they opened it up, you know, to untract it, it looked like the wind was blowing on it, you know, but it really wasn't. And there is evidence to suggest this. They did explain this, but a bunch of dumbasses continue to say that it's the wind because it was in the studio. Whatever, man. Just look, this is a very short video. I didn't give you guys too many details, mostly because I don't have patience, you know? I wanted to give you guys kind of like a summary of everything that happened, you know? But there are arguments on both sides to suggest that it actually happened and that it was a hoax, but they did bring back moon samples, which people say that are fake, you know, of course, you know, the photos everybody thinks are fake, the footage everybody thinks is fake. So if everything that NASA offers you're just gonna say is fake, then why even bother to say anything, man, you know? Like, if you're making it this hard to convince you, then stop, you know, because you're the kind of person who won't accept any kind of arguments against your opinion, you know? So I hate talking to people like this, but I'm legitimately curious which one of my subscribers, you know, where you guys fall on the spectrum. So let me know in the comments below, you know, if you think it really did happen or if it's a hoax, you know, and give me strong arguments, okay? Don't just say random crap, all right? But anyway, guys, that's it for now. I'm gonna get going because time is short today. But let me know in the comments below what you guys thought about this video. If you liked it, please give it a like. Or if you dislike it, go ahead. It's gonna help the video grow anyway. And yeah, man, I'm gonna get going. Oh, and also subscribe to my channel. And while you're at it, go ahead and hit the notification bell because I release videos every single day. It's gonna be good for you guys to know what time I upload because it happens completely at random, okay? And that's it for now, guys. Oh, nice little breeze blowing in. This is Chazzy signing out for now. And as always, I will see you guys in the next video. Roll the outro screen.